Dalton Rosta, thank you for joining me today. First and foremost,
Okay.
how are you and how has camp been for your next fight?
I'm great. My camp's been awesome. Everything's been going good. I've been peaking, and any problems we had, everything's been ironed out. No injuries. I'm feeling good.
Superb. And let's just very briefly talk about your last fight, which was a unanimous decision win over Taiguarda. How do you look back on that fight and that performance?
So I've been getting asked this question a lot recently. I was definitely satisfied with my performance technically wise.
Yeah.
And I feel like I did everything right and I won in every area, but there was opportunities for me to finish the fight that I feel like I didn't take advantage of. I feel as if I wasn't taking enough risks as I usually do. I'm a high risk taker, high risk, high reward. That's how I look at things. But that fight, because I don't know if it was on the main card or because who I was fighting or what, but I was a little more hesitant to take the risk, and I look back at the fight and there was opportunities for me to finish a rear naked choke. There was opportunities for me to finish finish via TKO on the ground whenever I had mounted and was ground and pounding them. And in that moment, it was in the third round. I remember him scrambling under me, and instead of continuing to ground and pound, I chose to go the safe route and pick position and took his back instead.
Yeah. Do you think it was a learning experience being able to go 3 rounds because that was your first decision win in your pro career?
No, not so much as like I obviously know how to finish a fight.
Yeah.
But as for the terms of experience and being in there for a full 3 rounds, I mean, I do that all the time in sparring.
Yeah.
There's no reason to go the full 3 rounds in a fight. I'm looking for the finish every single time. I didn't get that time. The things that I've learned from the fight and the lessons I gained are the fact that I could have finished the fight multiple times looking back, where, like I said, with the rear naked choke, I might have been saving some energy just in case it went back up to the feet, where in the future now I'm like, all right, if it's there and you smell blood, going for the kill.
Yeah. And let's progress a little bit into your next fight. So at Bellator 256, you will fight Tony Johnson. Do you think this is a step up in competition compared to some of the other guys you've been fighting?
I don't think he's any better than Taiguarda. If anything, I feel like Taiguarda is more dangerous because Taiguarda threw the flying knees, through the head kicks. This guy's a boxer, so he's a good boxer. Don't get me wrong, but he's just a boxer, and he has some decent takedown defense, but I mean, the only danger really lies in like getting caught with a hook or something like he caught Joe Schilling with. And that's easy to avoid, and that's just not going to happen. And also he has to respect my power. He has to respect my wrestling. So I see it being a short night for me.
What is your opinion of Johnson as an opponent? Do you see him as an easy fight with what you're saying about, not an easy fight, but a good style matchup with what you're saying about boxing and such?
Oh yeah, he's not an easy fight. He's a tough opponent, but stylistically, for me, yeah, it's going to be on the easier end of things because, I came up with a bit of a boxing background. He has some pro boxing boxing experience. I only have amateur, but I sparred hundreds and hundreds of rounds, boxed for years. That was actually my style coming into MMA. I didn't throw any kicks until I turned pro. I just started learning the kickboxing and the things like 2 years ago. And when I have somebody willing to sit down and trade with me, and I don't have somebody running backwards every time that I throw a punch, I see the odds being in my favor. And also the versatility of a kickboxer isn't there. Not saying he throws kicks. Don't get me wrong. He throws kicks. I've seen him throw a couple knees here and there, but primarily he's a boxer, which fits my style better, you know. And whenever he sits down on his punches, easy to take him down if I choose to do so.
Yeah. And obviously you train at American Top Team, which is one of the premier gyms in the sport. How much have you learned down there? And maybe talk to me about some of the guys that you were working with on a day-to-day basis.
I've learned a lot down here, man. You know, one big thing being calf kicks, low kicks, you know, mixing things up, faking the wrestling to the strikes to wrestling. You know, just little tweaks in my game. But things that, even though they're small, they go a long way, you know. And then as for training partners, you know, for this camp, I've been working with Rafael Carvalho and Fernando Reyes. They're both taller, orthodox fighters. You know, Rafael's a little bit more of a kickboxer, you know. Fernando's a little bit more of a boxer, you know, fits style more. And everything's been going good with those two. My wrestling partners and stuff have been Johnny Eblin, Austin Vanderford, Roman Feraldo, Sabah Humasi, Jiu-Jitsu, Christoph Jocko, Marcus Perez, Antonio Jr., Carlos Antonio Jr. And then on top of that, my coach is Steve Mocco, great wrestling coach, one of the best. You know, my kickboxing coach, Anderson De Carvalho, one of the best. You know, he's elevated my game so much. And then you have Mike Brown, who is an excellent strategist. You know, he's a wealth of knowledge whenever it comes to this game. There's nothing like really he can't teach you. You know, there's nothing you don't know too much with him. You know, so meaning what I mean by that is no matter how much you know as a fighter already and how much you've been taught by other coaches, he'll always have something new for you. You know, so. And as for that, like all the other coaches, Gabriel, Cattell, there's a lot of other coaches down here that are willing to help me all the time, you know, that want nothing but the best for you, want to see you do your best. And they're always lending a helping hand. So everything, like I said, everything's been great, man. The camp's been phenomenal. This is the best I've felt overall ever, you know, technique, injury wise. Like my last fight, I had 2 different injuries going into the fight that I really talk about. But this fight, no injuries, you know, just bumps and bruises that you get through every camp. Conditioning's come along great. I'm peaking great. Everything's just awesome, man.
I could imagine American Top Team being a real shark tank with a lot of killers, and I could imagine it being very hard training rounds. Is that fair to say?
Yes, every round is tough.
Yeah, of course. And a couple of names that you mentioned there, I wanted to pick up on. Austin Vanderford and Johnny Eblin, who are 2 undefeated fighters in your weight class, similar to yourself. Mm-hmm. There's also a couple of other names, Romero Cotton, there's Norbert Naveni. There is a real list of undefeated talent in the middleweight division. Where do you think with a win next month, you will be placed in this division?
I'd imagine the top 10. Yeah, like you said, we have Johnny Eblin here, Austin Vanderford, both undefeated. I mean, I don't see us fighting each other anytime soon unless it's for a title. You know, that's the only way it makes sense. We're not going to fight each other. We're helping each other get better, helping each other's careers, training with each other each and every day, you know. So I think the only way that any of us would ever fight each other is if it were for a title. You know, it doesn't make sense otherwise. And as for the other undefeated guys in the division, one of us 3 are going to knock them off. You know, I see American Top Team being the only, you know, team in the world left with undefeated 85-pounders in Bellator.
What is your opinion of the division as a whole? Because obviously the last title fight featured the welterweight champion Douglas Lima. What is your opinion of the depth of the division?
So I think there's depth at the division, but when you're looking at big names, the big names aren't there yet. There's a lot of building going on in the division. You know, you have big names like John Salter, Fabian Edwards, Austin Vanderford, Costello Vancinas, those guys. But when you look at the middle part of the division, these are all guys that can compete at any level and anybody with the division, and they're still up and coming. They're young, they're developing talent, you know, like me, like Johnny Eplin, you named a few, you know. I think it's an exciting division, and I think in the coming years, it might be one of the most competitive divisions in the sport.
In your opinion, who do you think should be next for champion Gegard Mousasi?
Who do I think should be next? Well, I mean, they showed the top 5 on Instagram with Tokov, Austin, Fabian, John Salter, and Van Steenis. I mean, Costello beat Fabian, you know, John Salter beat Costello, you know, Austin Vanderford has a fight coming up in May. I can't say against who, but the winner of that fight really puts themselves at least in the number 1 contender spot, if not fighting John Salter or Costello for a title shot.
Yeah, of course. And let's just turn the conversation a little bit back to your career. So all of your pro fights have been in Bellator. How much do you think it has benefited your career fighting in one of the major promotions from the start?
You know, I think it gives me a big stage to compete on. The only downside is the inactivity. I've only fought 4 times in 2 years, you know, and I wanted to fight, you know, after my pro debut, I was after for a fight the following month, you know, which I'm going to be doing again this year. You know, I'm hoping to get 5 fights this year. I like staying active. That's whenever I fight best. The career, get as many fights under my belt as I can, you know, and, you know, I'm ready to fight anybody, you know, just give me a name, give me a camp, you know, give me a few weeks, at least a few weeks to prepare, 3-4 weeks, and I'll fight anybody. And at the end of the day, I want to be fighting 4 or 5 times a year. And if I wasn't with Bellator, I probably would have at least 10 fights already. I imagine that's the only downside.
Yeah. Should you get the win next month, what are your goals for the rest of the year? Is there anything you have that you want to accomplish other than just 5 fights, as you mentioned?
Not really. I just want to beat every single person that's put in front of me, you know, take a step up in competition each time, or just weed out some of the guys that really aren't in the top of the division that looks like they are, you know, weed those guys out and make a lot of money. And then next year we'll start looking at like the title shots and stuff like that.
Of course. And let's just very briefly touch on the division above yours, because it's had a lot of spotlight very recently with the Light-Heavyweight Grand Prix. Who is your bet for the Grand Prix? Who do you think is going to win that tournament?
I think Vadim Nemkov is going to win it. You know, you got a lot of tough guys in the division. You got a lot of big names, but at the end of the day, I mean, Vadim's looked unstoppable in his past few fights, and I can't see anybody beating him. You know, I'm one of those people that, like, if you say you can beat me, prove it, you know. And at the end of the day, nobody's proved that they can beat Nemkov in the recent past, you know. So I don't think anything's going to change in the near future.
Yeah, of course. Let's, for one final question, turn the conversation back to yourself. What happens at Bellator 256 in your fight? Give me a prediction.
First round knockout. I promise. Just wait.
If I put a bet on, I will hold you liable to that.
Okay.
Superb. Well, I very much look forward to the return of Bellator as a whole, but I very much look forward to your fight next month too.
Thank you. I do too.
Tell people before we finish how they can find you on social media and how they can watch the fight also.
So I'm most active on Instagram. If you want to follow me on Instagram, it's Dalton_Rosta. My Twitter is also Dalton Rosta. Facebook, Dalton Rosta MMA. And you can watch the fight. As of now, I'm on the prelims, but last time I got bumped to the main card. Hoping the same thing happens this time. As of now, I believe you can watch it on the Bellator app or YouTube Live. Main card's on Showtime. So if I switch over to the main card, check out Showtime.
Superb. And before we finish, is there anything you would like to say or sign off with at all?
Just can't wait for April 9th. And I hope I make it exciting as possible for all you guys.
I'm sure you will, Dalton. I have faith in you.
Thank you.
Thank you.